Good morning, everyone. This is Stanford. We're going to be working on doing a transparent object. Here's what it's going to look like. We're going to apply our value scale to it, and then after we draw and shade the object, we will label it with the types of lights like we have done in previous videos. All right, let's begin. So the first thing you're going to want to do is draw the transparent object. What it is, it's a vase. So it's going to be like a clear glass vase. The first thing you want to do is, let me put this one back here, draw that circular shape, spherical shape of the bottom half. And so you just want to rough in a sphere. Remember, keep your pencil light and loose in your hand. Get a lot of lines on there so we can pick and choose the best ones to keep later on. We'll erase the rest. It's difficult to draw a perfect circle, but if you put a lot of lines in there, eventually you'll get it. All right, so that's pretty close. That's what I'm looking for. Next up, you'll want to draw this modified top half here. So it's basically a modified triangle with a curve in this section. So let's just draw two lines that kind of go out and away from each other. And then just draw a flat line on top. Just try to make sure these are somewhat even. All right, I've got the basis of the object here. What you want to do is erase this line. And then we're looking down at this object, so we have to curve this line the opposite direction. All right, there's that half of the vase, hooks onto that part. We're also looking down, so we need to find the bottom of this vase. It's clear, so we can see inside. So we just want to create a sphere down there to represent the bottom. So I don't like how this came out. It's a little too wide here, so I want to make those go in a little bit more. Maybe I'll make that shorter. That might have been the problem. So I just want these, well, let's start there again. And I want them to go into the top a little bit further. Finish that circle off. Use my block eraser to do the major erasing. Okay, now I'm good with the shape on that. And redraw the curved line. Okay, you guys can adjust yours accordingly. Sorry about the screw up there. All right, next up, we want to basically fill this thing with water. So there's going to be a table line behind it. And we'll technically see the table line through it, but we want to fill it with water first. So let's put in a sphere up here. Two curved lines opposite of each other. Or you can just kind of draw a flattened circle. This is the top of the water, so it's filled with water. Now, if there's water in here and it's transparent, it's going to throw off where this table line is on the object. So you either do lower or higher. I'll just do higher since I have room there. And then the last part of this object that we're going to add is a brush. So what it is, it's a paintbrush. It starts up here and goes into the bottom, and as it goes through the different sections of the bottle, it is distorted as well. All right. So we'll just start by drawing the top of the paintbrush first. Draw a long stick. It goes into right there. Kind of gets a little smaller as it goes in as well. And then you just want like a metal band up here, and then whatever you want your paintbrush to look like. I'm just drawing a flat paintbrush. Fuzzy bristles on top. And then it's going to meet in the water there, and then it's going to be distorted as it goes down to the next level. So kind of curve it. And then on the bottom level, it's going to be distorted as well. So curve it into that middle of the bottom. Like that. There's the basic structure of our object. Let's go ahead and erase a couple things first. So that line will be there. This line will not be there. Let's get rid of that. And then the back table line will not be there. And then the bottom line in that brush will not be there as well. Okay, so we have the basic structure. Next up, we need to make a value scale. Didn't forget about that. So a long rectangle with 5 sections, so 4 different bars. And you'll label that H, D, R, S, A for the types of light, and then the number of layers we will put in each section. All right, we're almost there. Let's start shading our value scale. In the reflected light, you're going to put 2 layers or come up with a medium value. Remember, when we shade, we do it in spherical motions, so it's nice and even, no scribble lines. And when you put your second layer over there, it's also going to calm those scribble lines down. So let's put another layer in there. Okay, that's about our medium value. You're going to smudge this into the number 1 section. That will be our direct light. So we have 3 values taken care of. Now you want to add 3 layers or make it consecutively darker than the previous in the shadow section. I think I'll go 1 more on there. Remember, the numbers are just suggestions. You can do this with pressure if you don't want to do layers. You just have to have a gradation from light to dark. I think probably we'll go 1 more layer on there. And you need contrast between each shape. Let's put at least 4 layers on here and get it probably about as dark as our pencil will go. So we're caught up to the 3rd layer here. We need to get that darker. All right, I don't know if I can get that much darker. Let's just kind of clean this up a little bit. All right, I got a decent gradation from light to dark, 5 values. we'll start drawing a shadow outline, and then we'll apply the types of light. Okay, for the shadow, we want our light source over here. It's going to be shining down at the object this way, so our shadow is going to be cast over here. You're going to want to find that edge and over here from that bottom section. You want to start by making just a sphere, kind of a flattened sphere down here. Move that up so you can see it. And then you're just going to mimic that top shape coming off this direction. Probably be a little bit longer since the light source is low in the sky. And then we're going to kind of just round it off. So I believe that top section would be kind of rounded off. And then figure out where that figure out where that brush is coming out of that edge, and kind of just put a long shape there. And that is the basic shape of that shadow. Erase those lines in there, because that won't be present. All right, now we're going to start applying the types of light. We are going to have a darker half, but if you look on here, you're not going to have any real big dark shadows, except for maybe at the bottom, maybe a little bit of reflection on the top, but on the transparent portion, it's not going to get much darker than your reflected light. So we'll start shading that half over here with the reflected light. And that will actually be the darkest portion. So technically the reflective light is only in this area. So actually you just need to shade kind of a stripe down that right side. Make sure it flows with the contour of the bottle. You'll shade with 2 layers. And then we're going to use this to smudge the entire surface. So don't go all the way to that edge on the right. Just keep it away from the edge. A lot of light is flowing through this glass vase, and also the light is going around it as well. And just make sure this section is curved with the bottle as well. And you're still trying to shade in your spherical motions so you don't have any scribble lines. Try to match that reflected light value. Now we're going to smudge this whole surface. Okay, so there's the basic shading on there. If you lost your lines, you'll want to draw them back in when you smudge, and we can kind of clean up our extra lines that we don't need as well while we're doing this. Get a nice dark line. That way we have the contrast. I think it's important on those transparent objects that you have those dark lines so they stand out, otherwise they disappear. Okay, I'll come back later on and do some more tidying up. Let's go ahead and figure out where our shadows are going to be. There's going to be a whole lot of shadows on here. So there's going to be a little bit on the surface on this edge of the brush on the bottom. So let's just start with the easy part. The bottom is going to be shaded in with 3 layers. So try to get it darker than that. And you can shade that in horizontally. There it is. There's going to be a little bit of this shading up here. So I'm thinking the reflection might be more on this side, and this side will have more shadow on it. So you're just going to kind of have to figure out where you think that's going to be. If we were actually looking at the object in real life, we could, be more accurate, but we're just kind of using our imagination. Maybe that brush will cast a bit of a shadow as well. All right, let's smudge this out a bit. Smudge the bottom. That's really all we're doing to this object besides erasing highlights. So we just need to work on the dark half of the brush. And you were just trying to get that pretty dark with the shading, the 3 layers of shading. Just go down one side. And then we'll smudge that a little bit. And then we just kind of smudge that whole thing. Let's just kind of clean this up a little bit. I have a bit of a line I want to get rid of right in here, so I'm going to erase into it, and then I'm going to smudge it again. I'll do a good job erasing the outside again. Let's just kind of draw that in more permanently. All right, now we're going to put our highlights on this vase. Now the light's going to be shining through in a lot of different areas, so you can be pretty random on just putting these highlights pretty much everywhere where there's a section of direct light. So here, and just make sure your highlights are curved with the object as well, or they can just be rounded spots. Or if they're on this straight part, make one edge kind of straight and then bring it in a bit. Maybe there's some light up here coming through in here. Maybe there's some highlights reflecting off the water over on this section. And there you have basically a transparent object. The darkest part will be at the very base, and it's not going to come out very far. It's only going to come out to about where that light's shining through. So go really dark where that object is hitting the ground. And then as it comes away, you want to get lighter and lighter. So just make sure there's contrast right there. That will really pop this thing out of the ground there. Okay, now as it comes away, just keep going lighter and lighter, and then we'll do some erasing in our shadow as well. Make sure you're shading horizontally, but still using your spherical motions. Okay, I've got it. I'm going to smudge it. Go a little darker and kind of round that edge off a bit. Most of that's going to be erased in here, so don't go too much further than that. If I'm looking at my object, there might be a darker shadow here as well where that paintbrush is, so you can kind of darken that up a bit. So whatever little details you can think of to make it more realistic. All right, now I'm going to take my eraser. I'm going to erase just 2 sections in here. Maybe the light's shining through there, and then maybe the light shining through here and kind of hitting the ground. This is all kind of random. Again, I'm just using my imagination on what this is going to look like. And then maybe there's some bigger sections up here shining through. Maybe it's smaller, so I'm just trying to kind of match the top of my object a little bit. And then there's a space up here that the light's getting through. And then maybe on this side as well. All right, so make sure you're using your eraser to create those highlights. I've seen a lot of people, they draw a line around their highlight and that doesn't make any sense. So you just have to erase into it. And there is the transparent object. I'll go ahead and erase any pencil lines I have on my shadow, on those edges, and then any smudges I have outside or mistakes I have outside of the object itself, touch up. And you have yourself a transparent object. Enjoy.